Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Leili Nishmas, Imi Miros, Yirus Mordechai. Dear Rebelli, please keep this anonymous. By us in MDY, there are certain trivia questions that everyone knows the answer to, while at the same time people out of MDY have no clue what the questions are to begin with. Here are a few of the MDY trivia. You ready, guys? In which Masechta is the story of the golden dove, and which person in the Shir is most involved in it? Shabbos, Avi Kamyansky, Brachas, Fischel Gross, Sukkah, Rabbi Schoenberg, Tainus Gary. Brachas. Who does the email part of the Shir? Rish Chodesh Adar. Nachem Seltzer, Rebelli, Dr. Factor, Jonathan Stefansky. Okay, this one everybody knows. Where's the Makom Kavua for Borough Parkers in MDY and RBS? The back right corner, the back left corner, the front right corner, right next to Rebelli. Shkoyach. Where was Rebelli born? Chicago, Bnei Brak, Lakewood, RBS. Anybody? You guys know? Lakewood. Who's the editor of the Shir? Gary Ben Moshe, Tomer Levy, Yossi Klein, Yosef Biliak. Which is Rebelli's favorite sponsor? The Kyle sponsor, the one with the least words, the monthly sponsor, turning of the Daf sponsor.
Least word.
What's my least favorite sponsor? Okay, I'm not going to go there. When the Rebelli's full share in RBS begin, Brachas Daf Beis, Nida Daf Beis, Avedizar Daf Chav Ches, Kiddushin Daf Lamed. Oh, what's the best present you get, Rebelli? New MDY license plate, a custom-made MDY suit, a new guy to join the Shir, nothing. He hates presents. Who started the Free Gemara initiative? This you don't know. Peretz Chaim Levin, Yossi Klein, Rafal the Barber, or Nassan Gans? It's a machlokes. It depends who you ask. If you ask Nassan Gans, it's Nassan Gans. But it's Yossi Klein, no? 100%. There's no such thing as 100%. You know that. What does it mean? What does it mean? He goes bye-bye. He leaves his house. He goes on a trip. He leaves this world. He goes shopping. Which one is considered loig l'rush to Rebelli? If you send pictures of going to safari, you send pictures of playing basketball, you send pictures of skydiving, you send pics of Lemais, it's all of the above. Had a crazy MDY story tonight, says Peretz Chaim Levin. Was being Menachem Oval a neighbor. I asked him if his house is for sale. No, that's not what happened. His brother, who was also sitting Shiva, asked me if I was Chaim Peretz Levin. I immediately took out one of my MDY business cards. He told me he's a regular at the Shir. He then mentioned to me he just opened up a bakery on 30th Avenue. So I asked him if he'd be willing to put up a sign. He said it would be his greatest pleasure. I started the order for the sign and ordered some Gemaras for the store. I thought it was amazing. Just yesterday, I went to be Menachem Oval Jason. So I did the same exact thing. I said, Jason, when are you going to join this year? Lili Nishmas, your mother. She's 94 years old. He's like, if Dr. Dinner joins, I'll join. So I look at Dr. Dinner. I said, now what's your excuse? You're going to cost two people? He said, okay, fine, I'll come. So let's see. You got to hold them to it. They're both your neighbors.
He doesn't want to do it.
Huh?
The limud's not kishmat.
No, he said this. I told him we have children here. You can do it. You mentioned the Pshat from Moshe Feinstein and asking a chayla in the shuk, and toward the end of Daf, I mentioned that a gadol should be involved in the mitzvah of bika chaylam. There's a story with Moshe that he went every day to the nurse's station in a specific hospital to ask about a patient there, and then left. A number of days, the nurses asked the rabbi, you come here every day to check up on the patient, but the patient's unconscious, and he doesn't even know that you're here. In fact, you never even go into the room. So why do you visit? He answered them, because you know I'm here. This patient has no family and no one to check up on him. It is a known fact that the hospital staff will care more about a patient if they know that someone is concerned about them. So I come here every day and check in with the nurses so that you all know that someone is asking about him, and this way you'll get better care. It's part of the Galus or Moshe to think about how the best way to do a mitzvah you can accomplish. Yoichan on Itzkwitz, Yishkoch with a beautiful story. And over here, Moshe Lachman from Cedar says that perhaps the pshat, I like this, perhaps the pshat that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Mashra Shechina on top of the head of the chayla, his own pshat, is because the chayla has no gaiva. He's stripped from everything. He's mamish, bare bones. And it says that ein ani v'hu yicholim ladur bekfifa achas balgaiva. So a choil is the opposite of a balgaiva, and beautiful, nice, shkoyach. The koilel is sponsored that we may we always be able to support Torah, and may the Torah protect us from any harm. The Masechta is sponsored. Ein Sgula Torah, ve'ein Tומכיה כיעקב ויעל lak. The Parnas HaChodesh. Linishmas Zechariah ben Moshe, Linishmas b:צלאל ben Moshe. Parnas HaYoim, Joe Sharp, Linishmas my father, Abraham Shlema ben Rabbi Yaakov, and in honor of the MDY Boca Chevra. Wow, the Boca Chevra. Be'ez Hashem will be there soon. 50 days. 50 days. For Shlema Yisrael מאיר ben קילה. Dr. Marc Berkson, in honor of my daughter Shoshana. Happy belated birthday. Oh, I have here. I sponsored Monday's Daf in honor of my daughter Shoshana. I didn't think it would be in the ER. With Hashem's help, she should be fine. Rafur Shlema, Shoshana, Miriam, Varda, Pnina. Rafur Shlema. The sponsor of the art for the month is by an anonymous from Lakewood, Zechus, for his nieces Shidduchim. Today we have two beautiful pictures that Yoshi put together for us. And Rabbi Isai, I want to remind the Olam that we're starting a brand new volume of Masechtas Nedarim. It's your chance to go get somebody to join the shir. You get a free Gemara, he gets a free Gemara. Today, what? We are starting on Amud Aleph, Mem Aleph Amud Aleph. It's 40 daf into the Masechta by R Eli Stefansky. Here's the few things that we're going to learn today on the screen. Huh? Dr. Berkson is on. Shalom Aleichem, Dr. Berkson. I don't see you, but I know you're there here. And his daughter. So we're learning the sugya of Bikur Chaylam. What sick person, what disease do you not visit? That's what we're going to be learning today. No, why? Why not leprosy?
Don't be that guy.
Oh, contagious. That's, yeah, anything. Everybody in this year had a ness happen to them that was greater than the ness of Hanani, Mishal, and Zechrya. Greater than being saved from the fire. And if somebody's mudar hanah from the other person, can they both share one plate? Can they eat chalt out of the same plate if you're mudar hanah? And then we're going to see later on, this is not so much for now, but just remind me later, there are two people on this daf that died in the same day. It's a cool shaila. Says the Gemara, 8 lines down from the top of Mem Aleph, Amud Aleph, Omar Alexandria, Omar Chia Bar Abba. Eina choila oime mechol yoy, at shemoichem loy, al kol avenoisav. So the Gemara says a very interesting thing here. The Gemara says, it seems like the Gemara is saying, that the reason why people get sick is so that they do tshuva. And a person is not healed from his averos unless he does complete tshuva. We learned in Masechtas Megillah that we say Slach lanu avinu kichotanu every morning, and then only afterwards Rufa'enu. The Gemara goes into why they say Gal Yisrael, the Geula middle. Okay, but Slicha and then Refuah. Says the Gemara, Shenemar hasoileach lechol avinichi. You forgive all the avonos haroife lechol tachlu yoichi. Okay, first he forgives our avonos, then only afterwards he forgives the refuah. He brings a person down, humbles him to dam to Hashem. Says the Gemara, Rav Hamanuna Amar choizer limei alumav. He goes back to his youth. In other words, when a person is healed, he's even stronger and better than before, or he has less averis than before. He's like a young kid, says Rashi over here, that doesn't have any averis. Shenemar, rutfash. So rutfash is a combination of two words, says the Ran. Ratuv, moist, and pash means a lot. So he's young, he has a lot of moisture in his body. Rutvash b'sorei min noyar yoshuv limei aluma will come back. He'll go back to the days when he was young. It could be also, you could say, that if a person has, let's say, a yerida in ruchnias, he falls in ruchnias, and then he comes back, maybe he'll come back even stronger than before. There's a shaila, but okay. I'm saying the idea of getting stronger, coming out of the matzav even bigger and better than before. Kol mishkavay afachta b'chol yoy. Oh, sorry. Kol mishkavay afachta b'chol yoy. His entire bed, he has a made bed, you flip it over, you flip it upside down. When a person gets sick, he forgets everything. Rav Yosef has the right to say this pshat. Why? Rav Yosef Cholash. It's very well known. We learned it many times already. Rav Yosef got sick. He forgot all his learning. And Abaye reminded him. It says on the side over in the Mesoshes Shas, 8 other places besides our Gemara. But I specifically remember even more than that. We learned all the way in the first Amud of Ksubas. It says over there that Rav Yosef and Rashi says because he forgot his learning. So it could be this exact lashon. It says 8 times. I think it's even more than that. Rav Yosef Chalash So Abaye's Talmud reminded him. This is why we say it throughout Shas. I never heard this. Says Rav Yosef. Not true. You told it to us, Rebbe. He understood that he's sick and he forgot his learning. And this is how you told it to us. This is how you proved it to us. And he kept on going, even though he forgot it. It's very, very depressing. A person, God Ladar of Yosef, 2 Talmidim, Rava and Abaye are his Talmidim. He forgot everything, and just to keep on going, keep on plugging. Us also to the daf and forget it the next day. Forget it. Keep on going. He have a gomer Rebbe Tlas Asri Api Hilchas. The Gemara says a very similar story with Rebbe. Rebbe had 13 ways to learn a certain sugya, many sugyas. He only taught Rebbe Chia 7 out of the 13. Rebbe, and then he became sick. Rebbe Chia could only repeat to Rebbe and teach his Rebbe only 7 out of the 13 because that's all he learned from him. Shita, Azdu, and 6 went and were lost. Havau Katzra. There was a laundryman. Have a Shmiel Rebbe, could have a Garzlu. He heard everything Rebbe taught, even all 13. Azar Reb Chia? Huh?
When he learned or when he taught? Rebbe learned.
Could I have a Garzlu? I don't know.
Rebbe was learning.
What do you say? Yeah, he heard Rebbe saying it, and he was there. He was there every day, and he heard it. I don't know if it seems like he taught himself. He was talking to himself. He wasn't teaching the koivis directly. Saying, why would he teach the koivis and not teach Reb Chia? Okay. Reb Chia went and learned it from the koivis. And then he taught it back to Rebbe. When Rebbe saw this laundryman, you created me, you made me. You taught Chia and Chia taught me. You made both of us. First of all, I just want to remind Oila that all the way at the end of Ksubas, an incredible story when Rebbe was nifter, the Gemara says over there that there was a baskel that came down and said, whoever was at Rebbe's levaya is mezum l'chayim haba. Gemara says there's a koivis who was very depressed. He used to be by Rebbe every day, and that day he wasn't there. He went up onto the roof, jumped off the roof. And I said then, the Yavet says, that's the same koivis as over here. He wasn't stam a laundryman. He was a laundryman that retaught Rebbe all the other ones. I saw it today, and the Rishonim also bring it. I went back there. I think I didn't use I said that guy, I called him that guy, but you see that he was a very chush of a person, if it's the same person. Seems like he is the same person. Okay. You see a very, very big yesod here, that Rebbe says, Ata osisa oisi. You created me. There are people in history, they say about the Maral, it's controversial, he made a goylam, didn't make a goylam. But over here, you can make a human being. You can push it, create a Rebbe. You teach him Torah, Ata osisa oisi. You made me. Veschia. Okay, we don't have to beat we're almost by Nedarim, so we could say it again. You could get another guy to come to the shir, and you created him. You own him. Omar Ikadamri. Some say it was a little different. Ato asisa zchia. You didn't create me. Rebbe didn't say to the Kohen, you created Chia. You had one Talmud. V'chia asaisi. And I'm Chia's Talmud. I'm one Talmud removed from you. In other words, he argues, just because you created a Talmud and that Talmud had other Talmud, you didn't create the Talmudim, you created the Talmud. Okay. A step Talmud, exactly. A grandson. You created Chia, very good. A grandson. You created Chia, and Rebbe is the grandson. V'amar Alexandria, Amar Chia, Bar Abba, Gadol Nes Shenas. So going back to the first, all the way in the beginning of the shir, the fourth question I asked are, who are the two people that died in the same day on this daf? Rebbe and the Koivus. Based on that, if it's true, I mean, it seems like it is. If the Koivus, it seems like he died, he jumped off the roof, or he fell off the, remember the different shatim, he was so distressed, the Rasha, how could you commit suicide? He was so distressed, he fell off the roof, or he thought that he was Mechal Shabbos because the sun, we had different shatim over there, the sun didn't go down, the Yerushalmi says when Rebbe's nifter, so he thought he's Mechal Shabbos, a whole thing, weiter. Golden Shenas L'Choyla says Alexandria or Mechia, the same Alexandria that we said, we started the sugya, right? Omer Alexandria, Omer Mechia. So we're going to bring a few members from him. The Omar Alexandria and Alexandria Omer Mechia Barabba, Golden Shenas L'Choyla Yosef and Shenas L'Chanyayim Shal Bezai. The Nes, when a person comes back from a disease, from a sickness, is greater than the Shal Chanayim Shal Bazarya, Eshal Head Yoid Ba'akal Yichol Mecham Boisa. It's a human-made fire. Anybody could put out a fire. So it's not a big deal that they survived that fire. Interesting. The fever that a human being has is a ruchnisdika fire, and it's impossible for a human being to get rid of it. So when you could overcome fever, that's a great, it happens every day. I get it. Everybody is cured from fever. And not everyone could go into a fire and come out of it. But the Gemara is telling us that if you really look into it, what's the greater ness? That Yaakov Avinu flipped the stone off the well, or that there was actually a stone? So if you think about it, actually there's a stone that you take atoms and you put them together and they become a hard thing. And that's a greater ness that we could see is a greater ness than somebody coming out of fire. But we take it for granted. Everything we do, we take it for granted. So the Gemara is saying, stop for a second, and don't take for granted the fact that you can overcome fever. It's something that you're supposed to die from. Zog the Gemara, Omer Alexandri, Omer B'chia, another thing says Alexandri B'chia Barabba. V'amar lo Omer B'shom Levi, Kivin Shigia Kitza Shel Adam, Hakoil Moishlim Boy. When a person's time to expire comes, it's time for him to go bye-bye, then anything can attack him and take his neshama. Says Rashi over here, what's anything? Even a fly and a mosquito. And I thought it's very, very interesting, because we know that the greatest killer in the animal kingdom is the mosquito. It kills over 500,000 people a year. I just looked it up again because I wasn't sure if I could rely on my memory. And how many people does a lion kill a year? Only 250. A mosquito kills 500,000. And how many does a hippopotamus kill? 500. Double. You got to know this. It's a big side this. So don't walk on the bank of the river when you go to the safari and look at those cute hippopotamuses. You might get eaten. Okay.
You have to go to their house.
Huh?
You have to go to their house to do it. Mosquitoes don't steal.
I don't think people die over here, but yeah, they die from malaria and all the. Well, other disease, you have to go to their house also for mosquitoes, I think. Yeah, really? I don't want to go there. We have. You'll see in the picture soon. Efshe, it's not so true what you're saying. Okay. Omer B'chia Bar Abba v'Amri lo Omer Shom Levi Kivchiki Gizav Shalom Moshe Shlema v'Hoya Kol Moitzi Argeni. Cain tells us, Baruch Hu, it's not fair. You removed the shield, the human shield. We have a special shield that protects us from animals, from different things. You go. There's many stories of people just walking around in the jungle, and animals are typically stay away from humans. But Cain was concerned that the animals will attack him, people will attack him. He removed that protection, the special protection from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Rav Omar. So it says in the pasuk, Kol Moitzi Argeni, anybody, whether it's the fly, I didn't look up. I think a fly kills 10,000 people a year. Seriously. I don't know exactly how, but I'm sure. What? Google it. I think it's like 10,000. I didn't look it up. But yeah, Google it, tell me what it is. Rav Omar, Probably not the typical house fly, but they have those nasty flies. Sometimes next to the water, they'll bite you. Those probably a little dangerous. Since you had a mishpat, hakol avodecha, then everybody is HaKadosh Baruch Hu's servant to get rid of you, to do you in, to take you away, to do the job. Hakol avodecha. Somebody said, the Belzer told me, and I didn't look it up. He said that this pasuk is the only pasuk in Tanakh that has the same gematria as the word Rosh Hashanah. The word Rosh Hashanah, it's kind of easy, 600 and something, 56, maybe, I don't remember. Rosh, the two shins and the two, it's 600 plus it's 800, right? Just the big, and then the small one, 800 something. I didn't do the he says that's the only pasuk. This mishpatecha, the mishpat of Yemadin, it fits in with Rosh. The only pasuk in Tanakh. Rabba bar Shela Amrulei Shachiv Gaver Gavoya. Oh, so for this we have a picture. It doesn't help the sugya much, just gives it a little bit of a geschmack, so you could picture it. Here is the picture. Here's a very tall human being, Abe Lincoln, on a very, very small mule. Hold on. And the mule was going over a bridge. What the Gemara is trying to say here is that since this guy was so tall, his feet were able to control the mule, he had feet on the ground, yet this mule did something crazy. He became crazy and flipped him off the bridge, which is not a natural thing. In other words, like Baruch Hu wants to get a person, he can do many, many different things. And you see on the bottom, you have the next sugya. You see that little flag? It wasn't clear, so I blew it up. So let me show you what's going on here. Shachiv Gavra Gavaya, a very tall man died. Havarachiv Girdaina Zutra, and he was riding a very short, a very small mule. Mata Titura, he came to a bridge. Istavit, he went mishuga, he lost his mind, this mule. Shadye, he threw the guy off because Shachiv, and he died. I think it's Rashi that says over here that was it was a very small fall. He only fell like 5 inches and he died. Okay, the next Gemara will see even more than this, what the Gemara means here. Kari al nafshei, it seems like, even though the Lashon is not so gishmak, but it seems like Rabbah said about this guy, look, if it's his time to go, something funny will happen and he'll die. Shmuel chazilahu yisiva al akrukta va'over nahara. So what we have here, this is the picture right here. You have a frog taking a scorpion across the water, and the scorpion got to the other side and killed a person. What's interesting here is that the scorpion doesn't know how to swim, and a frog doesn't have venom. But when you combine the two, and it's very unusual for a scorpion to ride a frog, it just doesn't happen. But when a HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to kill someone, so he'll do something unusual, take two things that don't go together, and it will happen. I also noticed this morning, very interesting, what sound does a frog make? He croaks. And look at the word, how the Gemara calls a frog. A krokta. So just, maybe that's where we got it from. I have no idea. Says the Gemara, Yisiva ala krukta of over Nahara. The krabba was sitting on top of that krukta. Tarko Gavra Umayis. It reminded me of, I have a friend, I know him pretty well. His name is Yisrael Brownstein from Chicago. When he was 9 years old, he was on United Flight 232, Sioux City, Iowa. Look it up, Sioux City. If you don't know how to spell it, I don't either. I think it's SIOCX or something. There's an X at the end, UX. Sioux City, Iowa. He's a frum kid who's on the plane. 120 people, I think, died. 180 survived. The person that sat right next to him, and they switched seats, died. And he's taking this, he lives with it. He's in his 40s today. He's a psychologist. He's a great guy, but wherever he met, and the crazy thing about him, Yisrael, is that when he learned in yeshiva here in Israel, he got hit by the number 1 bus going to the Kaisel. I think one of the buses ran over his foot. Okay. So, why am I saying this? Because a jet usually can't fall out of the sky. A jet, they have a lot of redundancies. There's 2 engines, so if one engine goes out, there's no problem for a pilot to fly with one engine. If the hydraulics go out, there's a second hydraulic system. The electrical, everything is double. So the only way a plane could go down, well, if it hits another plane, which is very unusual, but the only way is if 2 of the same systems go out, but it's so unlikely. What happened was with that plane is that one of the blades from the fan flew out of the engine, sliced the hydraulics, and it kept on flying. That blade came around the plane and sliced the other hydraulics. That's what the investigator said. And the pilot was in the middle of turning, so it remained in a turn. The hydraulics is what controls the flaps. So it remained in a turn. And then they had a nice gadol ma'od that on the plane, the best DC-10 pilot in the world was a passenger in the back. He wasn't even the pilot. And he saw what was going on. He said, tell them I'm the trainer of all DC-10 pilots. So he went in there and together they devised a plan how to control a plane that's in a turn through the engines. And then, so they had it controlled and they were coming in for a landing. In the last second, it tipped a little bit to the side and the wing hit the runway and it flipped and that's what happened. But anyway, I was just thinking like the 2 things that had it to happen. In order for this tragedy to happen is the most unlikely thing in the world. That a blade should hit 2 hydraulic systems on 2 sides of the plane. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu could take a frog and a scorpion and put them together and you get, if I hadn't been there, I wouldn't have got bit by the scorpion. Shaita. There's a million other ways you would have got killed. Fine.
I have the information in regard to the mosquito.
Yeah.
The mosquito kills 725,000 people a year.
Okay. My Google said 500, yeah. How many did the fly? How many flies? We want about, huh?
You said 500 was a hit.
No, 500 people died. 500,000, I said, from the mosquito. And he says 725. Well, okay, right. But it's still the same idea. Okay. Zog the Gemara.
The fly thing was not like a regular fly. It's like some sort of African fly that
Yeah, most likely, right.
It's 10,000.
10,000, yeah, okay, 10,000. There you go. You should know that the flies in Eretz Yisrael, I'm just saying, they have a little bit of that African fly. The most mechutzavdike flies ever. You go like this, shoo, they come right back. Americans are much more polite. You shoot away, they usually go away.
In the hospital,
Yeah.
the place in the woods where people die.
Yeah.
These black flies that fly around, the rooms where people die. It's like this.
Really?
Yeah. We were in the hospital. We saw.
You saw one.
I was in the hospital.
Zvuvei mavesh yavishu.
Zvuvei mavesh in the hospital.
Okay.
Not this big black fly in the rooms where people die.
10 minutes, 11 minutes. Kari Eli, I don't know if I said this. Kari Eli mishpatecha amdu ayoim. The HaKadosh Baruch has a lot of shluchim that could take care of the business. Omer Shmuel. You don't do bikacholim only to somebody that has fever. What does it mean? It doesn't make any sense. Well, you can't do bikacholim for somebody that has another disease. You don't visit somebody that has intestinal disease and an eye disease and a headache. Or some other thing in his head. Makes a lot of sense. If a person has intestinal disease, he has to rush to the bathroom, to the restroom, and you're there. It's going to be very difficult for him. Somebody just told me that even Avelim have a problem. They have so many guests coming in, and they don't know when to go, and it becomes an uncomfortable situation. Over here, it's even more. You might have a little bit of an accident, a little bit of this. There's other things going on here. So he's sick with his intestines, so don't visit him. You have to think before you visit. Like it happens to be with Avi Mandelbaum, he loves when people come visit him. He says some mefurish. But other chaylim, they're uncomfortable. They can't speak well. They use common sense. But why the other ones? You talk to somebody that has a headache or an eye ache, it really bothers them. It makes things worse. However, when you talk to somebody that has fever, it helps them. Omarava. This fire, this inner fever, ilav the parvanka de malaucha de moisa. If not for the fact that the Malcha Mavas loves this, and this is his go-to method, male Daf Mem Aleph Amud Beis Kechizra Ledikle. It happens to be that fever is very good for a person. It combats disease and infection, etc. So fever is good, but don't ask for it because the Malcham Avos loves it as well. We sponsored by Yankel Cohen, the official MDY MSP, l'schus being able to support limud hatorah and to finish shas with the belly. Chad l'tlosin yomin, if you have it once every 30 days, is amazing. B'chi teriyaki legufa, and it's like teriyaki for the body. In English, it's rayika. What? How do you say it? Teriyaki. Why did I say rayika? Teriyaki. Yeah. Shkoyach. Teriyaki. Huh? It's a way to treat like it's an antidote, right? Antidote. We have plenty of time, Reb Shlomo, don't worry. But if it's the so he left it. I got it. Okay. Zok Gemara. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak Omar. Loi hi v'loi tiryaka. I don't want not the fever. I don't want the antidote. I don't want anything. Omar Rav Yonason Omar Rav Chiel. Arson yafal l'chayil refuasai. This arson is very good to heal a sick person. My arson. Omar Rav Yonason chushla the sa'aria tikta, the peeled barley that's aged. The reish nafya. It's the beginning of the sifting. Omar Abaye Bayon Bishula. But however, says Abaye, be careful, you have to cook it very well. Came biswa the Torah like bull's meat. Rabbi Yosef Omar, Smidi the Sare, the fine flour of barley atikta, the aged barley, the reish napia, the first sifting. Omar Abaye. Bayon Bishula ki biswa the Torah. And that you need to cook it really well. Omar Rabbi Yechanan, bar dam. The Gemara says at the end, bar dam is a lotion of a well, bar dam. It either comes from hemorrhoids, it comes from the lower part of the body. Don't go visit somebody that has this disease and don't even mention it. When Dr. Neil Halpern was here the other day, he came over to me after Shir and he said that he thinks I shouldn't use the word yenamachla. He said, yeah, it's a very Jewish thing to say, and you don't use the word cancer, it's better to say yenamachla, the machla. He says, but you have to be sensitive to the people that have it, and they don't appreciate it, he says. He said, I'm telling you, it's too harsh for them. That's what he said. He said, he's sick. You say he's sick? So, okay, Mkabel. That's what he said. I hope to remember it. He said, there's certain things that the Gemara says over it, certain things people are sensitive. If somebody has a certain disease in a certain limb that's embarrassing, you don't say, oh, he has this and this disease. It's embarrassing to him. You also don't go visit him because it makes him uncomfortable. He might be bleeding. He might have to go to the bathroom, whatever it is. Certain things you don't visit. My time. He's constantly bleeding, or it's diarrhea with blood, whatever it is, it's not a good thing. It's like a well of blood, it's like it constantly overflows. We learned in the Mishnah that a doctor who's Madr Hana, the Chayla, he could come visit him and give him a refuas hanefesh, but not a refuas mammon. What is it talking about? If the word refuas nefesh means, like I learned it back then, it means that he's giving a free visit, and that's it. Let's see what we have here. What happened? Oh. So, you see in this pasuk over here, right? Abraham Avinu. What does it mean in Yeshus Nafshechem? You have a life, you have a soul. So Yeshus Nafshechem means if you could do this for me, if you have the will to do it. So over here you see the word Nafshechem means will. That's why the Gemara says what? The will. So over here also refuas nefesh. Perhaps it means not I'm giving him a refuah. I'm giving him the will. Refuas ma'amayim b'schar. I'm giving him bechinam. Refuah nefesh means I'm giving him a refuah for free. Refuas mammon means And refuas mama means besachar. It's the same. I'm giving the same treatment. Just one is for money and one is for free. If that's the case, listen to Yachi. So say it better. Say it straight out. Why do you have to say refuas nefesh? Ella refuas nefesh guvay. What it means is I'm healing the patient. Refuas mama in behemtoy. So here we have the doctor in the house, Dr. Factor. He said that the chayla, Avi, cannot benefit from him. So in this case, the chayla could benefit from him because Avi is only doing a mitzvah in a place that they don't take money for it, like in Eretz Yisrael, if you have insurance, whatever. If you do take money for it, I guess you'd have to toss the money and give it to Hegdish, like we learned. But do not try to heal the guy's animal. That's not a mitzvah. That you don't have. Says the Ram, but sometimes it is a mitzvah. If there's no other doctor around, so what is that called when you heal somebody's animal? Hashavas Aveda. Mavriya Chari, Hashavas Aveda. If you look, very interesting, the Gillian Shas over here, the Rebbe Kiva Eger asked a beautiful question. He says, when somebody loses a wallet and you return it to him, you really didn't give him more than he had before. Which is, you could argue that. But when you heal the guy's animal, you took an animal that's 50% and you made him 100%. So it's more than a Shavas Aveda. You added to his animal. How's that allowed? Okay. That's the Ran. I think other Rishonim argue. Omer Abzudu Bar Tuvia Omer Rav. Aval Omer Loi Sam Ploini Yofala. The doctor, Factor, could tell the owner, Avi, this is what you give your dog. It will be good for him, even though Avi's also to have anah from Dr. Factor. Samploni Rala. Oh, just one nekuda that the Ran adds here, that if the chayla, it's the same thing as this picture, but the chayla is the one that said, I'm not going to benefit from Avi. They're both Avis. Okay. The chayla Avi said, I don't want to have anything to do with Dr. Factor. It's the same arrow. It goes in the same direction. One way is that the doctor is the one that initiated it. He was the mother. He says, you, Avi, the chayla, cannot benefit from me. Or it's the same thing. The chayla says, I don't want to benefit from you, but it goes in the same direction. In that case, is the Ran, Avi, the chayla, could receive medicine from Avi, the doctor. Why? Because, like we learned yesterday, you don't make a neder that has to do with your chiyos. Zog the Gemara. Okay, so we're done with the sugya. I just want to say real quickly, I know that we're running out of time, but I have to say the story because it's a classic, said it many times, it's a very, very important story. And because we're done with the sugya of Bikur Chaylim. So real quickly, the Chavetz Chaim, one of his Talmidim came to him and asked him for rafur shleima. I think he was very sick, not Yenamachla, he was very sick. And the Chavetz Chaim told him, I can't do anything for you, but there's a Rav in a little shtetl, go to him, get a bracha from him. So he went to the Rav, and the Chavetz Chaim told him, don't ever tell anybody I told you the secret about that Rav. So he went there, and the Rav gave him a bracha, and sure enough, he was healed. Many years later, that person's sister had the same disease. So the person thought, the Chavetz Chaim told me not to say anything, but it's pikuach nefesh. So he told his sister in a secret, go to that doctor over there, go to that Rav over there, he could heal you. He has a special koyach that the Chavetz Chaim told me about. So she went there, and all of a sudden, the guy's disease came back. He realized he made a big boo-boo. He broke the Chavetz Chaim's promise. He went to the Chavetz Chaim. The Chavetz Chaim says, I have to tell you the truth. I'm too old, and I can't daven for you. What happened was, I daven for you and daven for you every day that you should be healed. I told you to go to that Rav. It wasn't the Rav. It was me. I daven for you. Now I'm too old. I'm sorry. I can't do anything about it. It's unbelievable of Bikur Chaylim, Refuas HaChayla, B'tzina, and Ba'anava. Says the Heilige Mishnah in Zchus for continuing Hatzlacha and limud hatorah by our good friend Ramosha. Says the Mishnah, you don't want to miss this picture. Check out this. Okay, because you're leaving, I'll show you this picture. You see the diving board broke, the whole thing. What's going on here is, how is that a problem? How is this a problem, Rabbi Yisai? The problem is because it has tchelas, the whole thing. The problem is that the water comes up when the guy hits the pool, and it gives the guy in the pool, the little guy, gives him a little benefit. and that benefit is also because he's also, as you can see in this one over here, the guy in the pool is the mudder, the guy that jumped in is the mother. The mother cannot give benefit to the mudder, and by the water going up a level or two, until now it was up to his stomach, now it went up to here, it's nice geschmack and hot, or cold, whatever it is, it's awesome. He's allowed to go into a giant pool where the water level doesn't go up, and not in a small pool. As the pasuk says, and in the time of the Gemara is very relevant and prevalent, that people used to, they didn't have clothing and they didn't have blankets, so they had to use body heat to stay alive. Imagine Lo Eleinu in the concentration camps. They had to sleep tight. That's how it was. So you're not allowed to give off your body heat to your friend. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, and the Ram proves that the entire Mishnah is Rabbi Yehuda is just explaining b'mois hachama, avaloi b'mois hakshamim. You're allowed to sleep with somebody in the bed when it doesn't give you any benefit because it's hot. But if it's during the winter time where there's a benefit and you're mudanor from him, it's aser. You're allowed to sit on the bed. The Rishonim discuss here, how could you eat with somebody in the same table? You mudanor from him, you might take his food. You're not allowed to even sit on the same table with somebody eating fleishiks and you're eating milchiks. So the Rosh answers beautifully. Who's mudanor from who? A guy that you hate. Why do you mudar? Because you hate him. You hate him, you're not going to take anything from him. You're scared of him, you hate him. Do not eat from the same serving bowl. If it's a serving bowl that's very, very large, then you're permitted to eat because there'll be plenty left over. If you're eating from a smaller bowl, by you leaving over food, you're mahana the guy directly. Rabbi Isai, have a wonderful day.